Hello. Hey folks. Coming to you with my new favorite glasses. I don't know if I told you, I bought 4 pairs. I like these ones the best. The pink's kind of fun. Matches my quilt. How appropriate is that? So hey folks, it is I, your host, on this Quilters Playcation Adventure Sewalong 2024 Rainbow Edition. It's me, Cheryl Arkison. I'm coming to you from the basement. Still in the basement. We're not going to go there. Still got a design wall and not the whiteboard my daughter was hoping for. Well, she was gone, but you know what? C'est la vie. That's how life goes sometimes. But I am coming to you. She's home. Yay. I'm coming to you with block 37 of our Adventure Sewalong. I'm excited. I'm always excited for the blocks. Like, why do I say that? And then I was thinking about it as I was sewing the sample. I always say like, oh yeah, and this one's pretty straightforward because it's just straight seams. You know what, frankly, that's what most quilting is straight seams. So I don't even know why I bother saying that. But anyways, we have a do. It's a fun one. It's a little bit silly. It's very random. It's a wedding cake. Or birthday cake, or whatever kind of cake you want to have in it. I was going through old sketchbooks this week and I came across me doing a little sort of improv version of this. It's a really simple one. You could get all fancy and like piece your scraps to make these little, you know, bands. I'm just going simple with this one and with the other one. Found a great purple to add for the next row in my black, my monochromatic quilt that needs some color. So that's what we're doing. So I just went into the scrap bin and found some scraps and we're gonna go with that. Is there a reason for this cake? Nope, just cause. I mean, I could get symbolic and say, oh, my kiddo is home and she's one of the bakers in the house and she loves a decorated cake, but you know, that's just reaching. It was just because it was fun. With all of that, but you could do lots of fun things with the block. Lots of opportunity for personalization, making layers. Mine is only 3 layers. You could make it 6 layers. You could do whatever you want, right? But it's just the basic technique, and we'll go over that while we're all sewing. I am going to apologize in advance because the kiddo started laundry in the room on the other side of this wall, and at some point during this live, the washing machine is going to finish and then it's going to beep. And so I hope we can't hear it. But I didn't want to turn it off because it's always kind of weird to turn it off in the middle of things. So fair warning, if you hear that beeping, that's what it is. So enough chit chat. Let's get to the block. Like usual, there's lots of stopping and starting. So, you know, we got to get going. I'll just move my chair where it's going to be in the way. Chaos, organized chaos, but I can't move it into the new place yet. So, but what I do have, you're going to see, I'm going to flip this around and you're going to see that I have some major shadowing or like a sunbeam on the block. It's getting to be into fall here. Beautiful day today, but it's getting to be into fall, which means the sun is lower in the sky, which means it shines on my cutting table, which makes it a little bit hard. You may remember we had that problem last week, but what we do have are blinds. They're blackout blinds, so I'm hoping it won't affect the light too much, but we'll see. But I'll show you when I turn around here. So we will turn around, we will say hello to the ladies, and then I will bring you down and you can see the lovely sunbeam on the cutting table. So let's bring the blinds down. Of course, the little strip, look at this, that little strip, because we had to do the blinds inside, it still gave us that little strip, which is kind of annoying. So I'm going to move you over here and we'll just shift over a little bit. So what do we need for today's block? We need a bunch of background pieces. I just kind of did some trimmings and cut stuff off. And then what we need are, you need to decide on what your layers are going to be. I'm going super simple here, but not in rainbow order. So just randomly kind of by what sizes I had along the way. So I want a large, a medium, and a small. These may change as we go. That's fine. And then you're going to want, I did 3 layers, so I'm using 3 bands. This is the simplified approach, but you could have one of these bands pieced, right? It could be a couple of different colors as bands, or each layer could have multiple bands on it. This could be pieced, right? Whether it's with a curve, a wave, any one of those things can be used in decorating your cake. Okay, so we're going to start with the bottom one. In this case, just because I said the word curve right now, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to cut just a little wave. So my band is a curve, but you don't have to. You can go straight across. I'm going to do the next one straight across, right? You can get your ruler out, or you could just freehand cut that. You don't have to cut through both layers. I just did, but you don't have to. You can just go like this and cut the one and then have that other piece to sew in there, right? Fairly straightforward. Sewing machine is on. So let's head over here to the sewing machine. And I just cut all 3 layers at once so that I can chain piece, right? You can do them one at a time if you prefer. I just like the chain piecing. Makes the process just that little bit more efficient. So mine will have one kind of curved, but I'm going to go ahead and grab, pardon my arm reach over there. I'm going to go ahead and grab the second one. And then I will grab the last one. There we go. So we have all 3. You can press them after adding the second piece or press them now. Because I did that curve, I am going to press it now. And we will kind of just mention pressing a little bit. Because I've got this curve here, it wants to go towards the blue, so I'm going to listen to it. On my first one, I think I pressed towards the cake part as opposed to the band, I guess is the way we'll say it. But it really doesn't matter. Depends on how skinny your band is. If your band is quite skinny, you might want to press towards the cake. But it really doesn't matter. Just, I would be consistent. So because I pressed towards the band on the bottom one, I'm going to press on the other 2 the same way. So the straight ones, you can see here, the straight ones, I've just got to go ahead and sew that next bit on. With this, because I've done a curve, I want to mimic that curve. So I have it layered like this. I'm going to kind of try to do a parallel curve rather than a different one, but it really doesn't matter. So we're going to go with that. Bring all of this over here. Just got to move you over a little bit. I can't get my hand in there. Need to do a little bit of adjusting. Sometimes that's just always necessary. Okay, that's the curve. And then the last one. Now, I'm not worried. You saw that I did freehand cuts. I haven't measured these. I don't care if they're perfectly parallel straight lines when all is said and done. Just having it kind of be fun. Remember, this is improv work. This is playtime. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for fun. So same thing. I want to press towards the band because that's where I pressed the first time. Either or, just be consistent, okay? Just be consistent. From a design point of view, it will reference your original kind of idea a little bit better if you're consistent. Okay, now we have our 3 layers. Pardon me, I'm just going to move something that's getting in the way over there. Okay. Oh, that's sunbeam. So I have my 3 layers here. I'm going to flip that one around actually, like that. And I'm going to flip that one. Do I want to flip this one? Don't know. So before I do anything else, I want to get an idea. How big am I here? Now it's obviously going to get smaller because we'll sew things together. There's going to be a little bit of trimming, but I want to check, am I like way too big or way too small? If I'm way too small, I might add another layer in or another band, even just to get it up a little bit. As it is, I'm going to be just a little bit too small, which means I will have a strip of background at the top or the bottom, which is totally fine. Just wanted to give myself an idea. I am going to keep a ruler out so I can give myself some straight cuts for this part. Now let's go ahead and start adding background bits to the side, right? So this is effectively what I need to do, is start adding kind of background pieces to build up out of the side. Again, I'm using scraps. It's not super structured or organized. Make sure you have big enough pieces. That's about it. So see, I have these 3 here. They're obviously not sewn together, but I want to get an idea. Do I need bigger pieces or smaller pieces? This right now is giving me far more than 12 inches, which means I'm going to be good because I'm aiming for 10.5 on this particular project. So I'm just going to layer these. You can see I didn't trim this up into a nice square beforehand. You might want to. You might want to have kind of a wonky. In fact, I am going to go wonky. Right? You know those cakes? Remember it was really trendy for a little bit where people would have kind of wonky layers. So if you want to do that, there's 2 ways to kind of attach the sides. I'm going to show you 2 different ways. You saw me just there. I put my pieces right sides up and cut that angle. The other thing you can do is layer your pieces. And now I just have way too much. So I'm just going to cut off that. You can layer your pieces right sides together and give yourself a nice straight cut. That's going to be great for if you want a straighter piece here. This is going to give me that kind of wonky angle. Both work. I'm just going to wait on this top one until I get these 2 done. And I'm really only doing that just so I can kind of see if there's any changes I want to make design-wise, size-wise, that sort of thing. So we'll do the one side, press it, and then we'll do the other. Okay. Enjoy the sunbeam that looks like a lightsaber at the moment to me. Okay, I just want to talk about pressing, actually. When we get to pressing here, you do, as always, have choices. You can press out towards the background. If you're worried about shadowing it all, you might not want to do that. But on the flip side, pressing towards the cake part, there's a little bit more bulk, right? Because we have these extra seams. Is it the end of the world? No. Either way will work. Choose what works for you. Choose what makes you happy and comfortable. Right, on my first one, I actually pressed towards the background, but on this one, I'm pressing towards the cake. Both are working, okay? Alrighty. Let's go back over here. And we're going to add that second piece. Now this time I am on this side going to go with just a straight bit here. One, just for variety, and two, I want to make sure I don't lose too much on the sides. So I'm going to do this one first to see where I'm at size-wise. I will press that, and then we'll compare with the existing one. Or not the next one, the next layer, I guess. But this will give me an idea of where I'm standing when it comes to size. Okay. So there we go. There's the bottom layer of our cake. I'm not worried about this at the bottom. We'll square it up. Okay. So first things first, how am I for size? Oh, I've got wiggle room because I want 10.5 inches. Now I'm at 11. So I'm going to kind of base everything off of the size that I have here. Now for this second layer, right, I want to kind of cut the distance on both sides there. So I'm going to eyeball that. I have this extra piece on the side that I won't need. I can see, oh, does it fit over here? Unfortunately not. But, you know, another piece will fit. I'm just freehand cutting that to make it smaller. Right, there's more than enough there. I'll give that just a quick press so she works a little bit better. Right, so I'm going to have some there, and then I'm going to have a little bit here. This one, I am going to just ever so slightly, I'm going to layer that so that I can have just a little bit of an angle. There. I don't want to lose too much because I didn't actually cut quite a bit extra, but it's just enough to be a little bit fun. So let me sew and press this one, and then we'll do our final layer. I can't tell you folks how much I needed this today. It's been a week. It has been a week of learning about myself as a parent, as a woman, of parenting, of not parenting when I want to be parenting, all sorts of things. Oh my goodness. I just needed a bit of playtime. Okay. And then we're going to add that on. Now, if when you're doing your layers, you decide one of the layers is too wide, just trim it down. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. So I have this piece, which is not as tall as this one, but I already know I'm going to be short overall, so I'm going to have to add something along the top. So maybe I'll just leave this piece to be that something across the top, except it's not long enough anyways. So we will use it here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to straight sew it right down there. Remember, if you don't want to sew that before, you can, or trim this bit before, you can trim it afterwards with scissors or a ruler. That's pretty good, but gave it a little bit of a trim. Alrighty, so we have that. We have to add that other piece on. So first of all, I'm just going to give myself the visual reference of losing that extra bit. So if I kind of want to center it in here, I have a little bit of extra fabric there. And now I have an idea of how much I need to add on the side. Alrighty. Let's cut another scrap. Obviously that's a lot more than I need, but now that I have that, I'm going to go with another fun kind of angle here. It's a silly cake. I do remember when that was trendy, gosh, for weddings. I want to say it was when I got married, so 22 years ago. It was a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing or if I'm remembering wrong. Anyone else remember those? It was kind of weird. But fun. We actually did not have a wedding cake at our wedding. We, before it was trendy, went with cupcakes. And the reason we did that is that my mother-in-law was famous for having cupcakes for every holiday. And so we wanted to kind of acknowledge that she always made cupcakes for everything. So that's what we did. So there's our silly little cake there. Now we need to sew the layers in and fill in any background that we might need. I know that I am wide enough everywhere. Yep. So I'm just going to layer my pieces on. In this case, I am going to put them right sides together and trim a nice fresh edge, sew down that. Yes, not only did we have cupcakes, my mother-in-law made all the cupcakes. The only thing I think that was kind of weird now in retrospect is that we didn't pipe the icing on. She never used piped icing. Still doesn't, I don't think. I don't think it would occur to her to do that if I'm being truthful. And so what we did to decorate them is that she, did the good old butter knife, spread the icing, and then we smooshed the cupcakes in like colored sugar. Our colors for our wedding were fuchsia, red, and orange. And so we had colored sugars and cupcake papers in those colors. And that's what we did. So we joked that we didn't have a cake cutting. We had the ripping of the cupcake papers. So there you go. Little fun fact about me. Okay, now we want to add the next one on. Now, speaking of those kind of weird trends, I'm going to do this one at a little bit of an angle as well, because I know I have to add on the top, so why not just kind of be a little bit silly here. So instead of having them right sides together and doing a fresh cut, I had them right sides up and gave myself a fresh cut. It's kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other scenario. Both work. It's really just what's your comfort level and preference. Now just make sure when you're sewing, you're not flipping any of your seam allowances that you've pressed in one direction or another. Alrighty. Now, on sewing these layers together, again, when it comes to pressing, it's really just your preference in terms of what direction you want to press with. Now, I did kind of do something a little bit off on this, but I'm running with it. I did kind of make my band a little bit, like you can just see a little bit of purple on this side, and then got into the band with that cut. It works. It's a wonky cake, right? we're making a wonky cake. So now I want to sew a big piece on the top. Obviously not this kind of weird shape. So I'm just going to cut that extra bit off. And I want to go ahead and add that to our cake so that I can turn this into a block. So I'm just, again, going back to my right sides together, but make that cut however you feel most comfortable. And I'm going to sew that seam. We're going to press it. And then we have the finished block. Well, not quite. We will have to trim it up, but we'll see if I do that for you or not. Oh. And then you know what I'm going to do is I bought, I saw a reel last week about Oreo flavored Coca-Cola, which sounds frankly nasty. I'm a once or twice a year Coke drinker anyways. It's not my default, but my girl, the one who is away, is a big Coke drinker and loves Oreos as well. So I saw it at the grocery store the other day and I had to buy it almost as a joke because even she's like, that's kind of gross. There's our block. Yay, our wonky cake. I'm going to square it up while we chat. Yeah, so I bought it, and there's apparently... Okay, well, I'm busy. Sorry, someone was at the door. Apparently, there is Coke-flavored Oreos as well. And so they did not have those, but it made me thinking, and I haven't made them in a long time, but homemade Oreos, which let me tell you, you will never want the bought ones again after doing that. I'll see if I can find the recipe online and share it because it is from a cookbook. And it was a recipe that I tested years ago and have it there. I'm doing a live.
Is Dad in my home?
I don't know why.
Because there's a guy out there that says he's waiting for Dad.
For what?
I don't know if he was at work here. I assume the bathroom.
Okay, we'll let him in. I'll be up in a couple minutes. Sorry, folks. It seems that somebody is at the door. And I need to go see who it is. Anyways, there is the block. Kind of also reminds me of a like a cartoony steamship or something, but we're calling it a celebration cake. But yes, I am going to make those Oreos. I will try to find the recipe and I'll include it in the notes. Maybe not here on Instagram, but definitely on YouTube because I'm looking forward to making those. Now, I just want to show, you can see here, I'm a little bit short of my 10.5 inches. I made a boo-boo when I was piecing it. However, I'm just a little bit short and I am short enough that all of this will be contained in a seam allowance. So I'm running with it. Okay. Well, folks, that is it. I'm going to turn you around, say goodbye to the ladies for this week. You can see more of the chaos that is going on here. Okay. I'm going to go because I don't know who's here. I don't know who's here, but I will go see. So thank you, everybody. We're going to add this block to the wall. I don't know if you can even see it on the video. There she is, down there. There's our cake added to the mix. So thank you, one and all. My name is Cheryl Arkeson. This is the Quilters Playcation Adventure Sew-Along Rainbow Edition for 2024. Today was week 37 of our blocks, free improv blocks. You can find us here on Instagram using the hashtags QP Adventure Sew-Along, QP Adventure Sew-Along 2024, and Quilters Playcation, or you can find us on YouTube. Check it out. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.